Hi everyone, it's Pastor Laura. Thanks for hopping on or watching this after the fact. This is the time of the week on Wednesdays at 5 when we collectively take a breath, read some poetry, pray, and perhaps throw in some ways that we can practice our faith along the way. So welcome. I hope this time is a moment of rest for you all and a time where you can take a deep breath and experience the presence of God. Today I will be reading a selection from this book called A Rhythm of Prayer, and this is a collection of meditations for renewal, and this is edited by Sarah Bessey. I recommend this book to you all. It's a wide variety of mostly women writers that are centering their practice in the Christian faith. But although there are some women that would probably, maybe the Christian faith is maybe a little bit too big of a label for them, but is a good way to practice some rhythms of prayer that come from different perspectives of women. There's some women that are Indigenous and women that are Black and queer, and there's one meditation by a woman that is disabled. So I recommend to grab this book and see how God, the Holy Spirit, might meet you in the space of these pages. Today I will be reading from a section from Reverend Emmy Kegler. Emmy is actually local to Minneapolis. She is a ELCA pastor, and she's just a wonderful person, and I have never met her, but I feel like I know her through her writings and through her lived testimony on her Instagram and social media pages. Emmy is, I think actually Emmy, if you're watching this, Emmy is currently pregnant and about to give birth, I think in the next month or two. But she wrote a book called One Coin Found, How God's Love Stretches to the Margins. So that is a really good book. And so to go along with the theme of her book, she wrote this meditation. It's called For All the So-Called Lost. So sit back and listen to the words of Emmy. The centering passage for this meditation comes from Luke 15, verse 8. And it says, And what woman, if she had 10 coins and lost one, wouldn't light a lamp and sweep the house and search diligently until she finds it? So listen to Emmy's meditation. Jesus, I am lost. They told me to follow you, and I did. To the edges, to the margins, to the humble and grieving, to the oppressed and slandered, to where you always showed you where, and to when I called back to them, to show with joy what I had found, to celebrate what had been restored, they called me lost instead. They called me wanderer. They called me stubborn. They called me black sheep. It was supposed to be all green pastures and still waters. It was supposed to be all restored souls, but all I could taste were my unattended doubts, and all that bubbled up were troubled waters of unanswered questions, and for asking them, the shepherd said my soul was wrong. They called me sinner. They called me wasteful. They called me prodigal. And Jesus, I do not know how to tell them the riches that they say I stole when I left the house of God turned out to be a pig slop. I do not know how to tell them how, like you, I shared meals with sex workers, and it was a feast of an ending grace. Jesus, today I heard how pennies can't be made of copper anymore, because the amount of copper needed to make a penny is more expensive than the penny is worth. And Lord, I feel it. They asked me to be something smaller, to be pressed down into something worth less, to be crushed into something worthless. Jesus, I've tried. I've tried to be small enough. I've tried to be shiny. I've tried to be worthy. But every time I press myself with the imprint of someone else's expectations, it misses the mark. And I am left off center. So here I am, Lord, a quarter clinking around in the bottom of the divine washing machine, a nickel dropped under the car seat, ground into the gritty floor, a penny slipping from a pocket, rolled into a corner of the bed, where dust mites and bobby pins are my only fellow believers. Jesus, I need to see the broom in your hands. I want to see you turning over every empty pitcher and shaking out every neatly folded sheet. I need to see your belly pressed against the floor and your dark eyes peering into my own darkness. You know darkness, Lord. It doesn't scare you. You made it. Long before your hands were bound in wrinkles and veins, you crafted day and night, and you are afraid of neither. But I am lost. I am afraid. Lord, they call me lost. And if I am, I want you to find me the way you found the world. Nicked in the edges, dusty and rusty, called unwanted and unworthy, and still your hands reached out to cradle every worthless coin, like each was a pearl of great price. Jesus, in this congregation of the forgotten corner, I am finding I am not alone. We are the church of the still lost, in the lost and found. So when you come, bring a satchel ready to collect what longs for home. Jesus, for every sheep and coin and child called lost, may you pull us closer and whisper, found. So my prayer for each of you is that in the moments of feeling out of place or lost or forgotten, that you may find that someone is seeking desperately after you to be found, and that this person is seeking you to the ends of the earth, even when you don't want to be found. And certainly all of us can relate sometimes to not wanting to be found, because we want to wallow in the muck and mire of our pity. But even in the midst of not wanting to be found, may we find love and grace. May we find it in God, and may we find it in community. So that is my prayer for you all, that you will find that you are being sought out and loved, and that community is not too far off. So if you are feeling the pangs of not having a community, and there are prayers on your heart, know that this is the community that is present for you. Feel free to post in the comments if you have a prayer request, and Pastor Elizabeth and I would be happy to pray for you. You don't need to reside in Minnesota or even in the United States to be part of this community of lost and found people seeking after being found. So I hope your evening is one of delight and curiosity and a whole lot of being seen. Have a good evening, everyone.